And I'm going to recognize my good friend from Illinois, who is the vice chair or the ranking member of the Select Committee on China, Mr. Raja Krishnamoorthi, for his 5-minute testimony. Congressman, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member Scott. Thank you to the committee for inviting me to speak today. Ag has always been a cornerstone of the U.S.-China relationship, and Chairman Gallagher and I worked closely with our members on the Ag Committee on this important issue. In August 2023, the chairman and I traveled to Dysart, a small town in Iowa. In 2011, not very far from Dysart, a farmer saw a man digging in the cornfields. After some investigation, authorities discovered that this man was not just digging for fun. He was looking for proprietary corn seeds to send back to his employer, a Chinese seed corn company. The man eventually tried to ship 250 pounds of corn seeds to Hong Kong, disguised in Costco-sized packs of microwavable popcorn, just like this.
That's clever.
The total cost of this one case of IP theft was estimated to be $30 million because the folks in China wanted to reverse engineer the contents of this to be able to produce the same back in China. Ag technology is a prime target of IP theft because American technology and farming are the best and most productive in the world. The Select Committee's bipartisan economic report, released in December last year, included broad recommendations on how to best protect IP. For the ag sector, we need to continue to improve coordination between local and federal law enforcement agencies and properly resource and train the DOJ to prosecute these particular crimes. There are other ag-related concerns addressed in our economic report. Congresswoman Slotkin and Congresswoman Hinson have already transformed another economic report recommendation into the Securing American Ag Act, which will require the USDA to study the supply chains of our ag inputs, including vitamins, animal feed, and pesticides, where China has been increasingly dominating the market and crowding out American and other suppliers. As we continue to remain in an era of uncertainty in our trade relationship with China, we also need to better protect American farmers from retaliation by the CCP, including by diversifying ag export markets for American farmers. Now, I know this committee has been looking at the issue of land sales. There are legitimate concerns with certain land purchases by CCP-affiliated entities, especially close to sensitive and military sites. However, as we address these problems, we have to make sure that the cure is not worse than the disease. Some purported solutions have had very real and harmful effects on the Asian American community as well. Dozens of bills across the country, for instance, target Chinese nationals regardless of whether they are affiliated with the CCP and regardless of the proximity of their land acquisitions to sensitive sites. Florida, for example, passed SB 264, a law that prohibits Chinese nationals from purchasing real property in the state. This law had a serious negative impact on the Asian American community. I'll just give you one example. There's the case of Ziming Zhu, a political asylee living in Florida who was persecuted by the CCP and who fled to the United States. He was beginning to rebuild his life in Florida. Since the passage of SB 264, Mr. Zhu was forced to cancel the contract for the purchase of what was otherwise going to be his new home in his new country. The lesson here is very clear. When land purchase bills target individuals who are merely Chinese immigrants, they often target those outside of the intended audience. The Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund filed a lawsuit against this particular Florida law on equal protection grounds. Laws like SB 264 are neither fair nor justified. And in the early 20th century, states passed similar alien land laws in more than a dozen other states prohibiting Chinese and Japanese immigrants from becoming landowners. Those policies severely restricted economic opportunities and exacerbated discrimination, and every single one of those laws were repealed one by one by one in all of those states. So please, as you consider these land purchase laws, let's be careful. You folks don't want to pursue policies that discriminate against anybody. So in that spirit, let's be careful not to adopt or to encourage those types of policies. Chairman Thompson and Ranking Member Scott, thank you again for this very special opportunity to testify before this very distinguished committee. The Select Committee very much looks forward to working with your committee in the future, and I thank you again.